the Black and Raw podcast. I'm your host, Tino Koda Tondo Ayavunzabaya, and I'm not going to repeat that. Here's a podcast that's creating the dialogue and the space for black men to be their most authentic selves. Now, my guest today there is no guest. It's just me. You gotta look at my face, guys, or you gotta listen to my voice. But what this episode is that it's a review of the final question that I ask all my guests. And that question is, if there's a young black boy that's listening to this conversation, how can either something that you know or something that we've talked about in this conversation help them with an understanding of themselves? And so what I'm going to basically be doing is I'm going to show you the final question. You're going to listen to it. And then I'm going to give my thoughts, my feelings, added stuff. You can get some good nuggets as well. I would like to put, maybe not research, but stuff that backs up what people are basically saying. You know, we like evidence. Everybody likes evidence. And so what I'm going to be doing is sharing my thoughts, sharing my feelings. And I would also love for you guys to also share your thoughts and feelings about what the guests have said. And so the first guest you'll be hearing from is Scotty Mcgregor. I love that name. It's a very nice Scottish name. Traditional Scottish name, but very nice. I like it. And so I'm not going to even spoil more of it. But I think we should listen to what Mac had to say to my question. So bear with me just a second. Let's put on the headphones, put on whatever you're listening to, and let's go.
Yeah, the thing I would say to a young person that's trying to figure out their masculinity is to be yourself. Start a journal. Write down your feelings. Let them out. Don't hold them in. You know, we all know that young people, there's young people that are a little different a lot. There's a high suicide rate, and a high depression rate. And I think part of that is, especially with masculine young people, is that they're policed by other boys right away if they're different or show their feelings. You've got to get that out. You've got to find somebody safe to talk to, somebody, and try to find a group that will celebrate you for who you are. And let that be your inner circle. Just think of Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, when he was young. He had to be very different and probably was picked on because he wasn't a tough guy. He was an intellectual guy who was very tender, right? And look how he became this amazing icon later in life. But when he was young, I'm sure that was hard.
Yeah.
And so find those people that will celebrate you for who you are, and hang around with those people. And don't worry about the ones that, stay away from the ones that are giving you a hard time for being different, because everybody, Prince, David Bowie, everybody we think of that we look at now as icons. Lady Gaga talks about how she was picked on when she was young for being different. Just think about that. All these people that we look at now that are amazing, it wasn't easy when they were young because they were pushed to conform, and they were different. And it's okay to be different. My gosh, those are, gifts that you can use to do great things. So yeah, find people that support that. And I do think journaling is important because I do think we need a place to get those feelings out.
Yeah, definitely. I vouch for everything that you've said in that. And thank you very much, Mac, for coming on to the podcast. I have really enjoyed talking to you. And yeah, I hope we can do it again, a possibility, because I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope we can hang out in person sometime.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, we're going to the pub and you got my back.
Yes, let's do it. I look forward to it. Yes.
Brilliant. So yeah, thank you very much, Mac. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
So, wait, hold on. Let me take my headphones off. I'm not listening to it anymore. So, basically what I was going to say is, I really liked talking to Mac. Mac was really interesting, and, I think what he said about being in a group of people that value who you are, and value your differences, and value, what makes you unique, finding your sort of your own subculture, your own mandem, your own group. You know what I mean? Everybody knows what I mean. You're finding your people, right? And so I think that is essential, because you can be in a group of friends and you can feel like, oh, they value things that are different to me. I don't sort of like doing these things, or they love doing these things, and that's just not me. And then you can feel like there's something wrong with you. You can be like, oh, why? There's something wrong with me? But no, nothing's wrong with you, bro. You're good. Unless you got something going on. But nothing wrong with you. Not when it comes to who you are and what you like. You know what I mean? So I think that's really great. And I think we all need to sort of remind ourselves of that. Even maybe just have a look at who your friends are, who your group is. And you're like, do we still value the same things? Do you still want, not necessarily what I want, but like what I maybe want from life? Are we going in the same paths? You don't necessarily have to be going in the same paths. But you know what they say, your network is your net worth, or your net worth is your network. Just the other way around. So, yeah, that is what I think Mac was trying to get with that, encapsulate with that. And, you know, I think what he said about journaling, it's huge. Journaling can have so many benefits for you. And if you don't like sitting down and writing whatever's going on with you, you can voice note, you can talk to yourself. People talk to themselves all the time. I talk to myself all the time. But find ways in which you can write down your thoughts, write down your feelings, and just express whatever's going on with you. There's actually something which I'm going to show you. I've got this thing called Mind Journal. You can't really see it, it's black, but it's got this little check-in. Don't know if you can see it there. So this is really good actually. This is really good. And here we go. I really like that. Leave it for the audience to read. Sorry for whoever's listening. I'm recording on YouTube at the same time. But this is just a journal. It's called the Mind Journal, and I'll put it into the show notes. I'll put it into the YouTube notes as well. And you guys can actually find some really interesting things in here. It's really simple. It's really easy actually. If you just look, it's got like, how do you feel? What are your intentions / achievements? Things you're grateful for. It's got a happy hour. Like, what did you do today that made you happy? And this one, I've just picked a random one which says, live your dreams. I haven't written in this as much because I need to do more journaling because I'm awful at it. But it says, live your dreams. How would you spend your time if you had complete freedom? What have you always dreamt of doing? Remember, write your own story. So here's for the audience to have a look at. But yeah, I think they're really good. And so I would highly recommend journaling because you can get some really good benefits out of it. And there's loads of researchers out there that will tell you the same. They'll say it helps reduce anxiety, reduce stress. You won't be going through a cycle of thoughts and destructive thoughts once you get them written down, because you can either see, are your thoughts valid, or actually am I just being a bit ridiculous here? I'm not saying that your feelings are not valid, but you know, like when you're thinking of something, like there'll be times I'll be like, oh man, I'm such a loser, or like, what can I say? Oh, I'm not smart, or something like this, or I haven't done much. But then when you write down those feelings and thoughts, you're like, actually, that's a lie I'm telling myself. Why am I telling myself that lie? What's going on for myself? So journaling, super beneficial, super helpful. I'm going to put some evidence into the show notes at just a website that I thought actually really helped in terms of journaling and the benefits that it can have for you. And so the next episode, the next review, I shall say, comes from Reggie D Ford. Reggie came onto the podcast. I loved talking to Reggie. You know what? I say I love talking to everybody. I generally do love talking to everybody, to be honest. That's just me. But yeah, I loved talking to Reggie. He was really interesting. And for a man that's like only 32, 33, like he's got plenty of places to go to. And I very look forward to seeing his career. So yeah, should we put on the headphones? Put the headphones back on. Put the headphones back on. And let's get watching. Can help them with an understanding of themselves.
Yeah, I would say one, start with just looking at what hurts you, because I think a lot of times as men, as boys, we get told to toughen up, man up, and that's just not being human. So if you're a human, it's to be human is to feel emotion. To be human is to have pain and painful experiences. And so understanding when those experiences happen and then trying to figure out what caused that experience that happened, right? Was it because I didn't like the way that someone said something to me? Well, how can I get that out of me? That maybe I write it down and say, I didn't like the way that so and so said so and so to me. I don't really understand why I feel the way that I do, but I feel this. And know that your feelings are real. No one can argue with your feelings. No one can say that your feelings aren't real. Um, you're validated in everything that you feel, and just really understanding that to be a boy, to be a man means to experience life just like any other human.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a great place to one, end the conversation, but two, for people to start with as well. Because you got to know what's going on for you. You got to be able to be like, okay, if you can highlight where your hurt is coming from, you can be like, right, how do I deal with this? How do I put boundaries in place? How do I start to even
Hmm.
think about what's going on for me? So
Yeah,
yeah, no,
and
thank you.
I'll
Oh, go
add
on,
one
go
more
on, go on.
one more thing to that, because I think it's been so important in my life. Is for everyone, I hope that you find just unconditional self love and grace. Like that is the root of it all. If you can find absolute unconditional self love for yourself and provide yourself grace for those times that you may mess up, you'll be a much happier, healthier, and in my eyes, successful person.
Mm, I don't even need to add anything onto that. No, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Reggie, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast. I've loved meeting you and talking to you. Hopefully we can do this again as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tino. I appreciate it.
Let's have a good day, Reggie.
Take care.
Thank you, Reggie, for coming onto the podcast and for talking to me and sharing your experiences. I hope you guys enjoyed what you heard there from Reggie. And I think what is a really important takeaway from that is humans feel, man. It's our job to feel. It's our role to feel. We've got a frontal cortex to feel. It's part of our brain, our makeup chemistry. So why do we deny people their feelings? Why do we ridicule people when they show emotions? Why are men told not to cry and to stiff up a lip and, just, not share, not talk? Because it's going against our human nature. It's going against what makes us humans, right? And so I don't want to go against human nature, to be honest with you. Human nature is a beast, bro. I'm good. I would much rather deal with my emotions and allow for growth within my life. And I think we all need to be able to do that. Don't get me wrong. There's times where I'm there like, man, I can't cry. I can't show my emotion. I remember, breaking up with someone's never easy, but we were there in the moment and I wasn't crying like in front of her. It was in my bedroom, it was at uni. And when she left, man broke down in tears, bro. I was just on the side of my bed crying. Like, it was just, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. But in that moment, there was a part of me which was like, nah, I don't want to cry in front of you. I don't want to show you that. And I don't know. I don't think we ever talked about that. I mean, we broke up, so we're alright friends now. But yeah, like I was hurt, bro. I was honestly hurt, and my mates were like, "Oh, can we come into your room and stuff like that?" It's like, nah, just leave me be for a bit. I'm gonna come downstairs, and come chat with you guys. But I was just in tears in my bedroom, man. Honestly, yeah, no, that wasn't a pretty cry. But anyway, we need to talk about our feelings. We need to show our emotions. It helps us grow as humans to be able to show our emotions and to be able to connect with others. We can't connect with others if we don't show our vulnerability. And I think what Reggie is talking about, it's a base need. We all know we're humans. We all know we feel, but sometimes we just don't. You know what I mean? So what I also wanted to add on to what Reggie had been saying, is that you need to acknowledge what's happened for you. You know, you can't move on from something if you don't know what that something is. You don't know how that thing hurt you, how that thing impacted you. You know, sometimes we can all be aware of like, oh, I've got my toxic traits and stuff like that. And sometimes if trauma has caused us to have some toxic traits, but you know there's something wrong, but we just don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? And I feel like there probably are quite a lot of people in that place. I've definitely been in that place plenty of times. But what's always helped me is acknowledging it and starting to work on it. As I mentioned before, journaling. I've got this journal, but I've also got another one here. My uncle got me this actually. It's a really beautiful book. For people that can't see, it looks like there's no notes in there, but there is some. But noting down, you know what I mean? Just even talking to somebody. Reggie talked about how he needs to get therapy. But that even then, when his girlfriend at the time was like, oh, my boyfriend's going to get therapy, he then didn't get therapy for like 6 years later because of the shame of therapy or talking, or like, a man don't need therapy. What do I need therapy for? Somebody tell me. That's a bad accent. I don't know actually. Americans, tell me what you think. But yeah, there's a lot of barriers that stop us from evolving, from changing, from growing, from dealing with our past. And if you listen to the episode with Reggie, you will hear how he had to overcome his past. You know what I mean? He had to deal with the demons. He had to tackle what was going on for him and how that impacted his relationships, his situation, his career. And so I think we can all really benefit from doing it. The only thing in life that is certain is change. And you can label change as growth. You can label change as change. But we all need to change. We all need to adapt. We all need to grow. That's how we get better as humans. That's how we get better as people. So I really think what Reggie was saying, simple, sweet, straight to the point, and necessary. So, and you know what? If you deal with your shit, you can maybe write a book out of it. Because that's what Reggie did. And it's doing really well for him. So, I don't know. Think about that. Anyway, the next episode, or the next person that you are going to be listening to, is Muzzie Nduna. And Muzzie was also great to talk to. You'll find out, if you listen to the full episode, you'll find out how I met Muzzie. And it took a while for us to get the timings and everything else like that, but I'm so glad I ended up talking to that guy, because he's such a chill dude, and his story is really inspiring. So here is Muzzie's response to the question.
Wow, what a question. What a question. I guess it's relevant for me too, being a black guy. Tell you what, this is it might be a completely different way of seeing things, and I'm only going to be speaking of my own experience. I did, as I've mentioned, when I came to the UK, I did notice that I actually looked different, and that was about me being black. The weird thing about me being black, and for anyone who's not watching this and can hear me, I'm a light-skinned black person.
Yeah.
So when I was in Zimbabwe, I was actually teased about being a white person. Yeah. So it was actually strange. I'm not mixed race or anything. Both my parents are actually black. I'm just a light-skinned guy. And it was weird because well, eventually I kind of got used to the fact that I'm just a light-skinned guy, And then coming here, I realized that I'm actually the darkest one of the crew. It was a strange feeling. Strange feeling. However, the concept of and I sort of like, I wouldn't say blame. I actually put this on my parents. They protected us quite a lot. This whole idea of racism was not a big thing to us. We were protected from it. We didn't actually know it that much. It was things in the books. Racism to us is how the white people treated the black people back in the colonization days. Yeah, it's not something that we saw at any point. So coming here, what we class now as racism, like certain words that I said, certain um statements, I didn't understand them. So even though I heard them at the time, they didn't do anything to me because I didn't get what they were. Yeah. And it was funny because Trevor Noah actually spoke about this as a comedian, that there's certain things that are said now that you understand that's a racist thing to say. But when he heard them the first time, because the version of racism in South Africa is different to in America,
Yeah,
certain
quite
things that they
different.
would say to him at the time, and they don't have that feeling. You don't actually feel hurt because that doesn't mean anything to me, right? So it's strange that I went through that period, and certain things that I recall now when I recall them and think, oh, they actually did say this to me, but I never felt it because it didn't mean anything to me. However, I never actually felt my blackness, if that makes sense. It's not something that I actually ever thought, do you know what? I feel different because I'm black. I felt different because I was different. I didn't actually attach it to my skin color. Yeah, I initially attached it to my accent because I knew I sounded different to everyone else. At some point, I attached it to my intellect because I was the geek, and you know the geeks are actually just abused in the classroom. Yeah,
No, you're
so
right.
you try to hide away your intellect, and every time I heard certain questions and people struggling with certain things in maths, and I'm thinking, I had to pretend I don't get it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can't even answer the question. I want to leave it alone and just write my answers in silence. And the teachers would actually point it out that if you're struggling with maths in any way, just look at Mrs. Coursework. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't, So I felt different for that reason. And me being black, I never actually felt it as a thing in the UK. I associated myself with a lot of Black individuals. I associated myself with the predominantly Zimbabweans. And I did hear about their experiences. And I always felt like I lived in a completely different world because the things that they talked about and saying that these people are so racist, these people are doing this, even in the workplace, they look down on us. And I'm thinking, am I living in a completely different world here? And to a certain extent, I actually think if you actually go with that mentality, you're always going to find what it is that you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there are no racist people. There's no racism at any point. Um, I'm saying if you actually look for it, if you believe that the people in this country, anyone who's white in this country is inherently racist, you're gonna find it even in things that they're not necessarily doing. Yeah. And in terms of if I'm looking at myself, so going back to your question, speaking to a young Black guy in this environment who is considering starting in property, I guess, or starting a business, um, what worked for me, even though I wasn't consciously doing it, what worked for me is not looking at myself as different because of my skin color. I feel that, and again, I'm speaking from my experience. I feel that if I see myself different because of my skin color, and then take that narrative of people in this country look down on people who have my skin color, I will inherently go in at a disadvantage because I'm already kind of looking for it. Someone could look at you different and straight away, like, oh, there you go, he's racist. Yeah, someone could say something which had nothing to do with your skin color. And if you actually attach it to that, you're already at a disadvantage because you've put yourself there. So me not looking at myself that way, I put myself on par straight away. I have this natural positive feeling where I'm trusting of the people that I meet. I give them the benefit of the doubt, so to speak. I assume everyone has the best of intentions for themselves and for the person that they're talking to, being me. Yeah, until they prove me wrong. And I think going in with that mentality, you're more likely to be successful than the other way around,
Yeah.
from my point of view.
No, brilliant, brilliant. I think I'm gonna let the audience sort of simmer on that. And yeah, because I think that's really good, to be honest with you. I think just about your mindset and how you approach things can change your perception. It can change sort of your reality to a certain extent. So yeah, no, thank you very much, Muzzie, for coming on to the Black and Raw. Hey guys, so yeah, thank you, Muzzie, for coming on to the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I think what you said about your perception and your mentality and how you view the world, it can have such huge impacts for us. Like, if people don't know, I don't know, some people might know, if anyone's ever heard of the placebo effect, it's basically where, say if you've got two groups being treated for depression, one gets a real tablet, a real antidepressant, the other person gets a sugar pill, and researchers will then test, do they get better, or measure them getting better in some way. Sometimes they find that people actually with the sugar pill get just as better as people with the antidepressant. Now, if you think about it, that's crazy, right? Your brain is honestly magnificent. Honestly, God was playing when he created the world and the brain and all of that stuff. But if your brain can physically heal you without anything being given to you, just the pure thought of, oh, I'm getting better because I've got this pill, but you don't have it, but you're still getting better. Isn't that bonkers? Can we just say the placebo effect is bonkers? The brain is bonkers, right? It's honestly mad how it works. But if that small thing of I can heal myself just through thoughts, imagine what you can do when you perceive the world in a better way. You know, some people perceive the world in a dangerous and dark and scary way, and that's fair because sometimes dark and scary things happen, or they've happened to you, and it's very normal for your brain to think like that. It's our flight and flight response. But if we're able to change our perception of people, our perception of the world, or even just how we go about our daily selves, it can have such a huge impact on you. Like Muzzie was saying, he has a positive outlook on life and tries and gives people the benefit of the doubt. I actually recently got a tattoo of a Stoic quote that I really liked, and here you can see the tattoo there. Put a little video up. But it's from the Daily Stoic. For those that are not watching, it's the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday, and it has a meditation for every single day. And so I've got the 15th of October, and it actually says give people the benefit of the doubt. For those that want to see, there you go, you can see that. So yeah, but I'll just read it to you. It's Marcus Aurelius Meditations 12.22. Everything turns on your assumptions about it, and that's on you. You can pluck out hasty judgments at will, and like steering a ship around the point, you'll find calm seas and fairer weather. And then Ryan goes on to say, even a dog, Supreme Court Justice Olivia Wendell Holmes once said, distinguish between stumbling over and being kicked. Yet if you never accidentally stepped on your dog, you know that the first reaction is usually a bark, a yelp, a quick snap of his jaws in an instant. There is no distinction, just pain. Then it sees who it was, hearing your soothing voice, and it goes right back to wagging his tail. A virtuous person does not jump to hasty judgments about other people. A virtuous person is generous with assumptions that something is an accident and that someone did not know that it won't happen again. This makes life easier to bear, makes us more tolerant. Meanwhile, assuming malice, the most hasty of judgments, can make everything harder to bear. Be deliberate and accommodating with your assumptions about other people, and as Marcus Aurelius says, calmer seas and fairer weather. And with my tattoo, as you can see, it looks like me floating in the ocean. I feel most at calm when I'm in the ocean. It also says seas and, you know, the play and all of that. And I put the stars on there too because I love stargazing, and that also just brings peace. And that's why it'd be amazing to be looking at the stars on a beach or on a boat. But yeah, Marcus Aurelius said it. The Stoics were talking about it already, bro. The Stoics were already on it. And so I really think that if you take anything from this video, if you take anything from what Muzzie said, I think it should be that, in that our judgments of people, let's not be hasty about it. You know, you also never know what people are going through either. Sometimes someone might be a dick to you, and there's no justification for why they're being like that. But maybe they've got something going on at home. Maybe their parent is ill. Maybe they're about to get fired from their job, and they snap at you, and it's not at you, but we might be like, you're so rude. What the hell are you doing? What? You have a problem with me? What have I done to you, bro? We ain't done nothing. The man's just going through something, and he didn't deal with it in the best way with you. But if you just think, it's alright, maybe he's going through something, I'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. You just go on with your day. You won't even think about him. You know, like when you get really pissed off, right? And you know you're pissed off because later on, it'll come back into your head and you'll be like, that guy annoyed me, man. Jeez, what was he doing? But if you just sort of be like, it's alright, man, maybe you got something going on at home, you ain't gonna be thinking about it again. You're definitely not gonna be wasting time and wasting stress over what happened. And so our perception of the world, our perception of people can have such a profound effect on how we go around our daily living. And I'm going to try and find some evidence for y'all. I'll put them into the show notes. I'll put them into the YouTube video. That you can just see how, your perception can impact your life. And so, I think that's it. In terms of my views and opinions on the last 3 guests that you've heard, I really enjoyed talking to all of those guests. And it was a blast, honestly. And I think each episode has its nuggets of gold that anyone can apply to their life. And especially because this podcast is about black masculinity for black boys, I think there's a lot in this that you can take with you and take those lessons. And it makes life easier for you as you grow up, basically. Because if you learn these lessons as early as possible, your life just becomes simpler as you get on. Or more the fact that you've got the tools to deal with life. I think that's a better way of putting it. I do think.
As I have forgot to say, thank you for watching. Please comment, tell me what you thought of what the guests said. And just share it with people you think I'll enjoy it. Please like and subscribe. It helps this YouTube channel and this podcast grow. If you just stay for a few more seconds as well, I have a little Marvel end credit scene. So just bear with me.
So these are just some little bloopers. It took me a while to record this video, actually. Honestly, there was just a lot of sort of little repeats that I had to do when I didn't get the words right or something else like that. So here's some little blooper reel for you guys. I know, loaded question, right? How can you ask people that in the end? But it's just the final question that we ask people because of the aim of this podcast. And so, oh fuck, it's not even recorded. Shit, that was good as well. Just a little time, just so you can see what Max says to the aunt. There you go. Question is, if there's a young black boy listening to this conversation, what do you think something fuck's sake, important, no, why you change is that as humans, fuck's sake, go again.